Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchist Dave. Tonight I'm joined by this nerd.
Nerdarchist Ted. How you doing this fine and lovely evening, sir?
I'm doing good. Zoo Mafia character background hooks unique to D&D and TTRPG settings. Yeah, we're talking about Zoo Mafia, and I said D&D too because I actually have put out some ideas for running some Zoo Mafia games using D&D as well. If you want to know more information about Zoo Mafia, there are links down in the description. You can sign up to be notified when the Kickstarter drops, as well as anything else that's going on with the Zoo Mafia. There's a Linktree down there that Ted keeps updating to keep you guys in the loop. So when we designed Zoo Mafia, the idea was the hook is already there, right? You were part of a mob. Mob is slang for gang. It doesn't mean, at least in the 1920s, 1930s, it didn't mean what we kind of mean it for it to mean now. It's not an extension of the word mafia. It's just slang for gang. While designing this game, well, why are these group of animals coming together? It's because they formed a mob. What is this mob trying to do? They're trying to get made into one of the large crime families in the zoo. There was 3. The idea was you pick a boss, you want to work for that boss, and you pick another boss that you would like to see leave the zoo because the zoo's not really big enough to encapsulate all these crime families. But that being said, during the course of it, we've also formulated smaller crime organizations. We've made other bosses. We've brought in Bunny Malone. They each have their unique characteristics. And it's been a lot of fun to design it from the GM standpoint, but also to play as a player standpoint, because you already have this built-in hook where the players are they're ready to take missions, quests, adventures, jobs in the case of Zoo Mafia from this specific organization because they're trying to join it. But there's definitely lots of other ways that you can tie in your character's backstory, their background information, to hook them into your game. And as a zookeeper, the GM, I'm always encouraging players to do that. And I try and do it when I play in games to give the GM something to work with, and also to just, to give my character a little bit more depth.
I look at this in several different ways. Number one, if you're looking at it as intended, zoo animals in a zoo, now, are you young and maybe you're a hanger-on, so you know somebody who's connected? Maybe you were the shoeshine boy, or in the antithesis, maybe you're older. You remember the days when animal kept with animal, and do you think that way, or do you think the new way where anybody can work with anybody? So I look at it from that spectrum of how do you play this up? How do you connect with the age element in the game?
Like you said, if you're a newer character, right, a younger character, you might not remember the old ways where the different crime families were made up of one specific animal. You didn't mix. Elephants and lions kind of stayed on their side of the street and ran via their particular rackets. That is one of the lenses you can look through it, or you can build in things like I played a character that used to be a PI, and some bad stuff happened in his life, so he actually joined a mob because he wanted to get revenge on one of the bosses, right? And that was his whole arc, was building up to that moment to get close enough to the boss in order to get payback for this slight or wrong that happened in his past. You could play another character who they have this love or respect or are enamored with crime bosses because maybe Ted had mentioned being a shoeshine boy, and maybe you remember growing up being a shoeshine boy and you got to shine Al Capone's talons every Tuesday or whatever, and she was always a great tipper, and it helped your family tremendous. And she would always give you encouragement and good advice, right? Even though she's a bad guy, and to you, she was very, very much a good guy or good gal in this case. And so that's why you're in the mob, because you look up to that particular crime boss and you want to just be just like them where you're grow up, and that's what you're trying to do, right? So you can do things like that nature. You could be from a family of disgraced flat paws where maybe one of your relatives were dirty. Maybe you were the one that was dirty, right? And there's no place in that world for you anymore. So you've gone to the other side of the street, and now you're part of a mob trying to look out for number uno. But it's one of the things I love about Zoo Mafia. We've just built it out to have all these hooks that are just there.
It was the age angle, the loyalty angle you bring up. Are you trying to get revenge? Are you trying to just be loyal? But then there's are you connected? A tangent to this secret world. This is all done in the realm of 1920s, 1930s, when booze is illegal, gambling is illegal. For sure, the driver is meant to be a bootlegger, so that you are already connected that way if you want. What if you were just a dealer? I show up, I'm hired just to flip cards. Sure, I know that if the cops see me, I'm part of gambling and I'm going to jail too. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not doing anything wrong. And all I'm doing is earning a few peanuts. I'm not raking it in like the boss upstairs. But somebody's got to be the one to pour drinks. Somebody's got to be the one to flip the cards or to roll the ball in the circle, whatever it is that you're doing. So did it go well and somebody say, hey, let me take you upstairs? Or did it go poorly and now you're out for revenge? Like, so you can be connected to that world and have good things or bad things happen. Those are fun things, because once you start tying those knots together, it's more of a story that exists. Jizzy's character is someone who worked for the Precious P, a speakeasy. She already had a connection to an existing illegal business, and she got fired. And spoiler, go check it out. But stuff happened, and we haven't gone back to find out what, if anything, is going on with the Precious P. But that's a direct tie-in from a story that the character made the connection of. And it's easy enough to do those kinds of things, because if you're going to be connected to the nightlife, like, this is where it's going to be. Like, this is the elements that have to exist.
Yeah, I mean, in a game like Zoo Mafia, it almost feels like cheating a little bit when it comes to developing hooks for the characters, because this is the playbook system, right? All the playbooks are designed around, this is a specific thing that your character does, right? You have the button. You're basically a hired killer. The goon, right? You're muscle. You're an enforcer. A safe cracker. Well, it's right in the name. You open things up. And there's probably way more money in opening up safes that don't belong to you than helping out someone that locked themselves out, right? You mentioned the driver is all about bootlegging. So, like, right there, those four alone, they're just completely tied into the criminal world. You have your face character, the grifter, right? Where that is one of the few that could actually, like, be what they are without being a criminal. But it just works really well as well, because you're a con man, you're a shyster, and that's how you choose to use your talents in Zoo Mafia.
The hardest one, I think, would be the lookout, to make a direct thing. Like, you're observant. All right, yeah, it's your job to watch and make sure the fuzz is not hip to what's going on. But you might just possess those abilities that don't necessarily have to be evil or criminal.
Yeah, no, absolutely, right? That one, that is the one playbook that we've come up with so far that is useful, and it's easy to use what they do for criminality. But that's another playbook where you could go the other way, right? You could be a sentry, or instead of being a lookout so your mob can get in. You could easily switch that around to be like, no, you're a guard trying to keep people out, and you're really good at spotting people trying to infiltrate. So that's one of the few. But even that, you can come up with hooks into why you're a criminal and what specifically happened in your past that might pull you into other jobs, right? Like, did you botch one of your early lookout jobs, and now there's another criminal out there who you feel like you owe because things went sideways and it was kind of your fault, right? So there's always ways to look at, in this case, your career, your playbook. But you can also look at what kind of animal you are, right? And how might that create hooks into the game, right? Like, the one game you ran, the idea was kind of retired, but still around was the older mobsters or mafia, and they were lions, and they used to run the place. Well, what if you're now playing a lion, right? And like, so you have that legacy that's either building your character up or tearing them down, because it was a different time, a different era where animals looked at things different. They're kind of bigoted in certain ways. Do you want to see a return to the old ways, or are you done with the old ways? You like how it is now. You like commingling with the other animals, and you find strength in your differences. And it's been a great, like, cultural experience for your character. But at the meantime, maybe you still have to deal with your family. You're really grouchy about all your dealings with these other animals, and it's just not natural, and it's not the way things are supposed to be, right? So all of these could add to your backstory and then later become hooks into adventures or jobs for you. And you might have to make hard decisions based on these background elements of your character.
Yeah, so it's a fun element to take all of this into consideration, and we are absolutely still working, still doing new things. As always, you can check out the new Zoo Mafia content every Saturday on the website. For the time being, we are only running things on the channel Tuesday nights of the 3 settings that we're working on. I'm running a Zoo Mafia game now that's getting close to wrapping up. I'm eager to see how all of the final little knots get tied or not.
So there you go. There you have it. Ways to tie in Zoo Mafia into backgrounds into hooks for your game. And with that,